Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for our introductory press conference for Keith Gill as our new Director of Athletics. We're glad that you've started your week with us and start the beginning of a new era of University of Richmond athletics today. I'd like to welcome several constituencies who are here with us today. First of all, our media. We do appreciate you making time on a Monday morning to be with us. We'll have a question and answer session coming up for you in a couple of moments. Folks in the stands, certainly we appreciate you coming out to observe and watch and welcome Keith to the Robins Center and the University of Richmond today. We are online and on the air today as well. We are live streaming on Spider TV, audio live on richmondspiders.com, and our flagship station, ESPN 950, is also carrying this morning's press conference live. A quick rundown of our program this morning. Following Dr. Ayers' welcome and introduction and Keith's opening remarks, we will have an opportunity for members of our media to ask questions. Media members, please wait for the wireless microphone to come around so the folks here in the Robins Center can hear your questions as well as those watching and listening. And I'd ask you to please identify yourself by name and affiliation with your first question so Keith can start to put names and faces together. And I do urge you to ask as many questions as you can during the press conference portion of our program this morning. Keith will have an opportunity following the press conference to do some one-on-one interviews. We do have him on kind of a tight schedule today following the press conference, and we've also been running in through the halls quite a bit of the Robins Center here in the last couple of hours, probably reminiscent back to his days as a running back at Duke University. I know Coach Rocco was very impressed with your moves down the Robins Center hallways. So we will have an opportunity following the press conference for some one-on-ones, and our coaches who are here will also be available for our media members if you'd like interviews with them as well. So with that said, at this time, I'd like to turn the microphone and the podium over to our president of the University of Richmond for our formal introduction. Here is Dr. Edward L. Ayers. Dr. Ayers.
It's so great to see everybody here today, and delighted to welcome Keith Gill, to the new University of Richmond Director of Athletics, and his partner Tiffany Speaks. We're so glad to have both of you with us, and we're so glad to have all of you here with us today. Now, in his various positions at Oklahoma and Vanderbilt and the NCAA and American University, Keith has experienced virtually every aspect of the really complex issues surrounding collegiate athletics these days. And this is just going over the materials. I could see this. You may have experienced other things as well, but I see governance, rules, compliance, diversity, gender equity, academic integrity, student-athlete welfare, fiscal integrity, strategic planning, sportsmanship, and legislation. You've worked on everything from the selection of coaches and facilities to major gifts and media relations and marketing. And I know from calling around the country and talking to people, just glowing words about Keith's performance in all of these aspects of things. So to have somebody who can come to us with the knowledge and experience and success in all the things involved in being an AD, we feel especially fortunate. At AU, during Keith's 5 years, teams have won 25 conference championships, 16 individual conference championships, and 25 All-Americans. And just as important as American University student-athletes have posed a combined GPA of 3.37. So Keith is successful not only on the field and in the arenas, but his student-athletes succeed as well. Here, Keith will build on the remarkable foundation that Jim Miller and his predecessors and his collaborators here have established for the University of Richmond athletics. We are in a strong position, and we know that Keith will help us to become even stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Gill. There is something I'm supposed to do, which is to present you with a gift. And I spent all day picking it out, and so I want you to be sure to enjoy this. So if you would, let's see what that might be.
All right, Spider gear. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great to get the sweatshirt because also, I mean, you can't see this, but I have a Spider tie on. So I really feel like I'm part of the club, and I'm really official now that I have my Spider gear. So thank you so much for being here. Dr. Ayers, thank you so much. I am just so honored and so thrilled to be the next Director of Athletics at University of Richmond, excuse me, so I got to learn how to say it. So at the University of Richmond, I am just so excited to be a Spider, and I'm pleased that all of you joined me in this because I just think it's great to share this with you. I'd also like to acknowledge Provost Allred, who chaired the search and the search committee. Their time and their leadership, it was a great and thorough process, and it was, to me, and I talked to Tiffany about this a lot, when I saw that the provost was chairing the search for the director of athletics, I realized that the University of Richmond was the place for me, just because that really showed the commitment to academics and athletics and trying to be great at both. And I was very impressed by that, and I was impressed by Provost Allred's leadership. I would also be remiss without acknowledging Jim Miller. So we all stand on others' shoulders as we take on new challenges and new opportunities. And as I researched the University of Richmond, as I had the opportunity to tour the facilities at the University of Richmond, I was impressed at the quality and all the wonderful things that had happened during Jim Miller's tenure. And I hope that I will have, and to be honest with you, if I just have half the success that he's had while he's here, it will be a great tenure because he has done an absolutely wonderful job. And I really just want to acknowledge all of Jim Miller's good work, and I'm looking forward to working with him. I'm really glad that he's going to be here on staff because he's going to be a great resource, and I'm going to lean on him heavily. Probably too heavily. He'll probably get tired of me after a while, but I'm going to certainly use that resource. I'd also like to just thank Dr. Kerwin and American University for giving me the opportunity to work there. American University is a fabulous place. It's a wonderful place, and leaving obviously is bittersweet, but I'm very excited to be a Spider, and I think some of the virtuous things about American are what really made Richmond such an appealing opportunity for me in terms of the wonderful academics and the wonderful athletics. And then another acknowledgement is my partner, Tiffany Speaks. So Tiffany is the love of my life, and she inspires me to be the person that I am. And I cannot just thank her enough for her support and for her loving relationship. And I think she is just a fabulous person, and I am so excited that you all have the opportunity to get to know her in the way that I do, because she is one of the most phenomenal people that I know and just an absolutely great supporter of me, and I certainly wouldn't be standing here without her and her love and our relationship. So a little bit about me. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and I spent a lot of time watching sports with my dad, and I spent a lot of times doing homework at the behest of my mom. And that combination is really what kind of drives me and inspires me. I believe in academics. I believe in making sure that every student athlete that comes to the university has a reasonable expectation of earning a degree, and not just earning a degree, of having a rich collegiate experience, because there's so many wonderful things that go on campus. And that led me to my undergraduate time as a college football player. And through that, the college athletics was it kind of opened my eyes. I was really inspired by my time at Duke to really try to create experiences like I had for others. And that's why I'm standing before you today, is to try to do my part in creating those experiences. I believe in having a very integrated athletic department. We're going to have a big tent. We're going to have, everyone is welcome. We're going to try to build as many partnerships as we can across campus. I'm looking forward to getting to know the faculty and obviously working with Provost Allred to do that and trying to figure out if there are opportunities for co-curricular partnerships and things like that. I'm interested in getting to know all of you in terms of our supporters and our donors. And I'm really interested in working with our coaches. So working with Chris Mooney, I had a chance to spend some time with Danny Rocco as well. So really excited about having the opportunities to help them kind of grow their program. I talked to Gina Lucido, the field hockey coach, earlier today. Obviously, they had a heartbreaking loss this weekend, but I'm really excited to sit down with her and figure out, hey, how can we make sure that you have the things that you need to move forward? And I'm really looking forward to that partnership with all of those coaches and getting that going forward. I think also the hallmark of kind of me and who I am as a person, integrity is really important. So we're going to make sure we do things the right way, because that's really, winning is hollow if it's not done the right way, and I firmly believe that. And we're going to want to win championships. You know, it's not really an athletic department if you're not trying to win. That is really important. And so we're going to try to hang as many banners and win as many championships as we can and figure out the pattern to do that. But we also, like I said, we want to have a Big Ten, and we want to make sure that we develop partnerships, and we want to be Richmond's team. We are the University of Richmond, and so we want to certainly focus on connecting with our community and making sure they embrace us in the same way that we embrace them. And also the state of Virginia. That is really important. So we want to make sure that we honor our responsibilities to the state and obviously to the local community, and want to be, and want to be one of the nation's best. So we're going to continue to strive and move forward to create a model program from an academic standpoint, a model program from a competitive standpoint, a model program from a service standpoint. Community service is going to be really important and going to be a hallmark, and also a model standpoint from the standpoint of how we engage our supporters and our constituencies. So that's really what we're going to focus on. So with that, I'll say I am so excited to be a Spider. It's a great day to be a Spider, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you and getting to know each and every one of you, and just having a long and successful time here at the University of Richmond. So thank you very much.
Keith, I'm John O'Connor from the Richmond Times-Dispatch.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yep, thank you.
Why did this job interest you? You had a good job. What about Richmond interested you?
A couple of things. First is, like I said, when I saw that the University of Richmond has a great academic tradition and a great competitive kind of understanding throughout our industry. So people know Richmond and know the Spiders. So that, just in and of itself, the reputation was very appealing. Then, as I did more research, I really realized that the values of the institution really fit my own personal values in terms of really having scholar athletes, really focus on making sure everyone gets a good education, but really competing our tails off to try to win championships. And as the search process moved on, I realized that the provost was chairing the search. That was a powerful message to me in terms of reinforcing what I thought those values were. And as I did more research, when I visited campus, the campus was, when Tiffany and I walked around campus for the first time, we were blown away. And it was actually during Hurricane Sandy, so it wasn't probably the best time to kind of take in the campus, but it was actually a phenomenal place to be. And so when you take all those things together, I just realized my values and the university's values matched up, and I thought it would be a really good fit.
Two-parter, if I might. When do you start work? And how do things change here the day you start work, or do they?
Right, I start work on December 11th, and I think things change here some because I'll be a new face in the hallway, but I don't really see any remarkable changes. I mean, I really have to get an understanding of the culture. I really need to talk to the coaches so I can begin to work with them to see what the landscape is. So I will really be on a listening tour. I got to try to get to know the student athletes. I got to try to get to know the coaches. I want to get on campus and meet folks. So I don't really think anything kind of fundamentally from the approach of work standpoint changes at all. So I was telling people earlier, I'm a little chatty guy. So, and I don't know if Jim's not chatty, that'll change. People will be getting their ears talked off, and they'll be getting a little annoyed by all my questions and those kinds of things. But other than that, I wouldn't expect big changes.
You mentioned your interest in athletic administration, obviously, from an early age, but AD can be sort of a thankless job. What drew you to that sort of position?
I think anytime you're in a position of leadership, it certainly can be lonely. So I think you're right. I think it can be a challenge. I think what drew me to this path was how I can make the biggest impact on young people's lives. And I thought being with my skill set and with what I am interested in, I thought being an athletic director and really trying to shape the direction of a program and trying to make sure that those values that I learned when I was an undergraduate, I can kind of instill in a program. I thought this would be the best path to do that.
Thank you.
Hi, Keith. Lane Casadante from CBS 6 here in Richmond. There's a lot of private institutions on your resume. Is there something about private schools that attracts you to this job or to administration?
I think I really enjoy highly selective academic institutions, and I think that that is why maybe my track record looks, I enjoyed my time at Oklahoma. I thought the University of Oklahoma is a fabulous institution, but I feel comfortable I feel very comfortable in a small environment where I can really get to know people, where it's easy to integrate the department into the fabric of the university. And typically you find that it's easier to do that at kind of smaller, highly selective private institutions.
That being said, private institutions face a few more challenges than their public counterparts. How have you found ways to overcome some of those challenges?
I think you do have to be gritty. When we were at Vanderbilt, there were a lot of 11 to 1 votes in the Southeastern Conference, and so there certainly is a different kind of makeup. So sometimes you're out there on an island, and I think it's a challenge. But to me, that is a wonderful challenge. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity if you can have a student athlete that can come to a school like this, compete for, let's say, a football championship and having the great season that the football team is having, and get a very high quality, rich education. I think it's worth some of the obstacles and difficulties that sometimes you face when you're a private school competing in a state school world. Oh, one more.
Yanni Caracas, Channel 8 here in Richmond. Facilities, marketing, is there any branch that you're really going to hone in on?
I'm not sure yet. I know we're working on some things with the Robbins Center, so that'll be important from a facilities standpoint. And I think facilities are always, really important in terms of how you grow and support your program. But I really will want to talk to the coaches and kind of get a sense of what their focus is. I do think I want to try to, work with folks on campus and try to build some partnerships there and that. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think that anytime you're an athletic director, facilities are in some ways really key. Facilities and scholarships are your lifeblood. So, I mean, those will be things that we obviously focus on. But, you're always looking at how can you increase revenues and generate revenues, so that's important. But I don't completely know. I can give you certainly the generic answer of things that are certainly important in our world, but until I get here and kind of really understand kind of the lay of the land, it's really hard to be really specific with the question.
Keith, Mark Davis, NBC 12 in Richmond. Welcome to Richmond. From an athletic standpoint, in your experience at other institutions, what did you know when you were there about Richmond's athletic reputation that made it stand out even before you were even looking at this job here?
Okay, certainly. Well, I certainly remember 2011, Richmond going to the Sweet 16 and being in the NCAA tournament in 2010. The national championship in 2008 is certainly something that I remember and actually watched on TV. So I think that the interesting thing is, from a competitive standpoint athletically, Richmond's reputation is really strong in the industry, and so certainly it's well recognized and it's national. The great thing, and one of the things about being an AU, is I really got a great understanding of the academic piece, just because Richmond is kind of in AU's market basket when you're looking at schools that you compare yourself to, and it gave me a good sense to get an understanding of the selectivity and of the kind of academic tradition and rigor that's here.
Keith, I don't want to belabor the detail, but for the next month, will you be back and forth? Will you be strictly at AU and not show up till December 11th?
No. I will be back and forth. So I'll be back and forth a lot. I'll come back this week for basketball game. Women's basketball tips off at 4 on Friday. Men's basketball right after, and then there's a football game. So I'll be back for the weekend, and so I'll be back and forth quite a bit. All right. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it.